If you think emotional attachment comes from chasing, pleasing, or proving your worth, emotional stability creates attraction in a way that is quiet, powerful, and deeply psychological. It is not loud confidence, dramatic charm, or constant reassurance. It is the ability to remain centered within yourself, regardless of what is happening around you. When a man is emotionally stable, he does not let moods, misunderstandings, or temporary distance shake his sense of worth. This stability sends a subtle but strong signal he is safe to connect with. A woman instinctively feels that she does not need to manage his emotions, walk on eggshells, or regulate his reactions. In a world where emotional chaos is common, stability feels rare, and rarity naturally becomes attractive. Emotional stability shows itself in how a man responds, not in how he reacts. When something doesn't go his way, he does not lash out, withdraw in silence, or seek validation. Instead, he remains calm, present, and composed. This creates a sense of emotional predictability, which the human nervous system craves. A woman may not consciously analyze this, but her body feels it. Her shoulders relax, her mind slows down, and she feels more open in his presence. Over time, her emotional system begins to associate him with peace rather than tension, and this association is what slowly builds attraction into attachment. A stable man does not rush intimacy or demand emotional access. He allows connection to unfold naturally without pressure. He is comfortable with pauses, with silence, and even with uncertainty. This comfort communicates confidence on a deeper level than words ever could. When a woman senses that a man is not trying to extract emotions from her, she becomes more willing to offer them. Stability removes fear, and where fear dissolves, vulnerability begins. Vulnerability is the doorway through which emotional attraction grows stronger. Emotional stability also means not becoming reactive to a woman's emotional fluctuations. When she is distant, confused, or overwhelmed, he does not interpret it as rejection or take it personally. He understands that emotions move in waves. This understanding prevents power struggles and emotional games. Instead of escalating situations, he de-escalates them. This ability to regulate himself creates an unconscious sense of leadership, not dominance, but emotional leadership. A woman feels that she can lean into this energy without losing herself. Over time, emotional stability builds trust without promises. Consistency in behavior, tone, and emotional presence tells her that what she sees today will not suddenly disappear tomorrow. There is no emotional whiplash, no unpredictability, no hidden agenda. This reliability becomes comforting, and comfort is often misunderstood as boredom, when in reality it is the foundation of deep attraction. Passion may ignite interest, but stability is what allows feelings to stay, deepen, and mature into something meaningful. Emotional stability also reflects self-respect. A man who is emotionally grounded does not over-explain himself, over-apologize, or compromise his values to be liked. He knows who he is, and he is at peace with it. This inner alignment creates a quiet magnetism. A woman senses that being with him does not require performance or emotional labor. She feels free to be authentic because authenticity is already being modeled. And in that shared emotional ease, attraction grows naturally, steadily, and deeply. Do not chase. Create emotional safety, because chasing is rooted in anxiety, while emotional safety is rooted in confidence. When a man chases, he unknowingly communicates fear of loss, fear of being replaced, and fear of not being enough. This energy is felt immediately, even if nothing is said out loud. It creates pressure, not connection. A woman may initially enjoy the attention, but over time, the constant pursuit makes her feel responsible for someone else's emotional state. Instead of curiosity and attraction, she begins to feel guarded. Emotional safety, on the other hand, allows attraction to breathe. It removes urgency and replaces it with presence, which is far more compelling. Creating emotional safety means allowing space without punishment. When a woman takes time to herself, becomes quieter, or needs distance, a man who provides safety does not guilt her, interrogate her, or withdraw affection in response. He remains steady. This steadiness tells her that her autonomy is respected and that connection with him does not come with emotional consequences. The absence of pressure makes her feel free, and freedom is what invites genuine emotional closeness. When she knows she can step back without losing him, she paradoxically feels safer stepping closer. Emotional safety is built through acceptance, not performance. A man who does not chase does not try to win her approval by reshaping himself or overextending his efforts. He listens without judgment, responds without defensiveness, and allows her emotions to exist without trying to control them. This creates an environment where she can express uncertainty, fear, or vulnerability without worrying about how it will be received. Being emotionally safe with someone means knowing that your feelings will not be used against you later, and this assurance deepens attachment more than constant reassurance ever could. When a man stops chasing, he also stops over-explaining. He does not justify his boundaries or beg to be understood. This clarity creates trust. A woman feels grounded around someone who knows where he stands and does not fluctuate based on her reactions. Emotional safety comes from knowing that the connection is not fragile, that it does not depend on constant validation or attention. This reliability allows her nervous system to relax, and when the nervous system relaxes, emotional bonding naturally occurs. Chasing often creates imbalance, where one person is always reaching and the other is always responding. Emotional safety restores balance by allowing mutual investment to develop organically. A man who creates safety does not force intimacy or demand emotional availability. He allows her to come forward at her own pace. This patience communicates confidence and self-trust. Over time, she begins to associate him with calm, understanding, and emotional steadiness. She feels seen without being consumed, desired without being pressured, and valued without being controlled. This experience is rare, and rarity intensifies attraction. Emotional safety also means consistency in words and actions. A man who is emotionally safe does what he says and says what he means. There are no mixed signals, emotional games, or sudden shifts in behavior designed to provoke a reaction. This transparency builds a sense of predictability, which strengthens trust. Trust is the soil in which emotional attachment grows. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she opens up without fear, connects without hesitation, and stays without being asked. Let her express without judgment or fixing, because emotional expression is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be understood. Many men instinctively move into solution mode when a woman shares her feelings. They offer advice, logic, or quick fixes, believing that helping means correcting. What is often missed is that emotional expression is rarely about finding an answer. It is about feeling seen, validated, and emotionally held. When a man resists the urge to fix and instead allows space for expression, he creates a deeper level of connection that advice alone can never achieve. Judgment, even when subtle, shuts emotional doors. A raised eyebrow, a dismissive tone, or a rushed response can make her feel misunderstood or minimized. When she senses judgment, she begins to filter herself, sharing less, hiding more, and protecting her emotional world. Allowing her to express freely means receiving her emotions without labeling them as right or wrong, dramatic or irrational. It means understanding that emotions do not need to be logical to be real. This acceptance builds trust, and trust encourages vulnerability. Vulnerability is where emotional attachment strengthens. Listening without fixing requires emotional discipline. It means staying present even when her emotions are uncomfortable or confusing. It means not taking her feelings personally and not becoming defensive when she expresses frustration or sadness. A man who can hold space without reacting shows emotional maturity. He demonstrates that her emotions do not overwhelm him and that he does not need to control them to feel secure. This steadiness makes her feel safe to explore her feelings more deeply, knowing she will not be interrupted, corrected, or dismissed. When a woman is allowed to express herself fully, she begins to regulate her emotions naturally. Being heard has a calming effect. The act of speaking and being understood often resolves emotional tension on its own. A man who listens attentively, maintains eye contact, and responds with empathy communicates respect. Simple acknowledgements like understanding her perspective or recognizing her feelings can be more powerful than any solution. This kind of presence creates emotional intimacy because it shows that he values her inner world, not just outcomes or efficiency. Not fixing also means not trying to control the emotional direction of the conversation. A man who allows expression does not rush her toward positivity or force reassurance. He understands that emotions move in layers and that processing takes time. By giving her that time, he communicates patience and care. She feels that her emotional rhythm is respected, and this respect deepens connection. Over time, she begins to associate him with emotional relief rather than emotional effort. Allowing expression without judgment strengthens emotional bonds because it removes fear of rejection. When she knows she can speak honestly without consequences, she becomes more open, more authentic, and more emotionally invested. She feels accepted as she is, not as she should be. This acceptance creates a powerful emotional imprint. She experiences being understood without being managed, supported without being controlled, and heard without being corrected. This kind of emotional space is rare, and when it is offered consistently, it becomes deeply attractive. Maintain your own life and purpose because emotional attraction grows strongest when connection is chosen, not needed. A man who has his own direction, routines, goals, and passions carries an inner fullness that cannot be replaced by another person. This fullness is felt immediately. When a woman senses that a man's happiness does not depend on her presence, she feels less pressure and more curiosity. Independence signals emotional health. It shows that he is not looking for someone to complete him, but someone to share life with. This distinction changes the entire emotional dynamic and sets the foundation for genuine attraction. Having a purpose anchors a man emotionally. When his life has structure beyond a relationship, he remains stable even when emotions fluctuate. He does not abandon his routines, neglect his growth, or sacrifice his values for attention. This consistency creates respect. A woman may not consciously articulate it, but she feels that he stands on solid ground. He is not easily swayed by approval or disapproval. This emotional self-sufficiency creates a sense of security because she knows the relationship is not carrying the weight of his identity. Maintaining your own life also means preserving space. Space allows desire to exist. When a man has commitments, interests, and ambitions, he naturally creates moments of absence. These moments are not manipulative, they are organic. Absence allows reflection, appreciation, and emotional longing. When connection is constant and all-consuming, attraction often fades into familiarity. Purpose reintroduces polarity by keeping individuality intact. A woman feels drawn to someone who continues to grow and evolve rather than someone who revolves entirely around her. A purposeful man does not over-prioritize a relationship at the cost of his well-being. He understands that love thrives when both individuals are whole. He does not cancel his goals to prove devotion, nor does he seek permission to pursue what matters to him. This self-respect quietly invites respect from others. When a woman sees that he honors his time and energy, she feels valued without being overwhelmed. The relationship becomes a choice, not an obligation. Maintaining your own life also reduces emotional dependency. Dependency creates fear, jealousy, and insecurity, which slowly erode attraction. Purpose counters this by giving emotional direction. When challenges arise in the relationship, a man with purpose does not collapse emotionally. He has internal resources to lean on. This resilience is deeply attractive because it reassures a woman that connection with him adds to her life rather than destabilizing it. A man with purpose listens differently. He is not desperate for validation, so he can be fully present. He does not interrupt, perform, or seek approval through agreement. His groundedness creates emotional balance. Over time, a woman begins to feel inspired rather than burdened. She senses that being with him encourages growth rather than stagnation. This inspiration strengthens emotional attachment because it aligns connection with personal expansion. Purpose also creates direction in the relationship itself. A man who knows where he is going emotionally, professionally, and personally naturally leads without control. His clarity reduces confusion. There are fewer mixed signals, fewer emotional games, and fewer unspoken expectations. This clarity allows a woman to relax into the connection, trusting that she is sharing space with someone who is self-aware and intentional. The attraction deepens not because he is constantly available, but because he remains consistently himself. Consistency beats intensity because emotional attachment is built through repeated experiences, not dramatic moments. Intensity may capture attention quickly, but it rarely sustains connection. Grand gestures, constant messaging, and overwhelming displays of affection can feel exciting at first, yet they often create emotional instability. When intensity fluctuates, it leaves confusion behind. A woman may feel lifted one moment and uncertain the next. Consistency, however, creates emotional grounding. It allows trust to form gradually, without fear of sudden withdrawal or unpredictable shifts in behavior. Consistent presence communicates reliability. When a man shows up emotionally in the same way over time, his words and actions begin to align. There is no need for her to analyze his tone, second-guess his intentions, or wonder where she stands. This clarity brings emotional ease. The nervous system relaxes when patterns are stable. Over time, she starts associating him with safety rather than excitement alone. Safety is often underestimated, yet it is the foundation upon which deeper emotional attachment is built. Intensity often burns fast and fades just as quickly. It can create emotional highs that feel powerful but are difficult to maintain. When those highs disappear, they leave emotional emptiness behind. Consistency avoids this cycle. It does not overwhelm or underdeliver. It offers steady attention, steady care, and steady respect. This steadiness builds emotional trust because she learns that connection does not depend on mood, convenience, or emotional spikes. She knows what to expect, and that predictability strengthens emotional bonds. Consistency also demonstrates emotional maturity. A man who is consistent does not chase emotional reactions or seek constant validation. He does not withdraw affection to create desire, nor does he overextend himself to prove worth. His emotional availability remains balanced. This balance allows a woman to feel secure expressing herself without fear of pushing him away or overwhelming him. When emotions are met with steadiness, they soften rather than escalate. Over time, consistency creates emotional intimacy through repetition. Small, reliable actions carry more weight than occasional grand ones. ones. Remembering details, following through on promises, and maintaining respectful communication all signal care. These signals accumulate. A woman may not point to one defining moment that caused her attachment, but she will feel a growing sense of connection that is difficult to explain. This connection comes from knowing that the emotional environment will remain stable. Intensity can sometimes mask insecurity. When a man relies on dramatic expressions, he may unconsciously be trying to secure connection quickly. Consistency, by contrast, reflects self-trust. It shows that he is not afraid of time, distance, or gradual bonding. He allows feelings to develop naturally. This patience feels grounding. A woman senses that he is emotionally present without being overwhelming, interested without being consuming, and committed without being controlling. Consistency also creates emotional credibility. When behavior remains aligned over time, words carry more meaning. Promises feel believable because they are supported by action. Emotional attachment deepens when trust becomes unconscious, when she no longer questions intent or stability. She begins to relax into the connection, allowing herself to feel more deeply without fear of disappointment. The relationship stops feeling like an emotional roller coaster and starts feeling like a steady path where connection grows quietly, naturally, and securely. Peace is more attractive than perfection because perfection creates pressure while peace creates comfort. Perfection demands performance. It requires constant effort to maintain an image, avoid mistakes, and live up to expectations. Peace, on the other hand, invites ease. When a man is at peace with himself, he does not try to impress or prove anything. His presence feels calm, unforced, and natural. A woman senses that being around him does not require her to be on guard or to measure her words. This emotional ease becomes deeply attractive because it offers relief from the constant tension of modern relationships. Perfection often hides insecurity. When someone tries too hard to appear flawless, it creates distance rather than closeness. It signals that mistakes are unacceptable and that vulnerability may be risky. Peace communicates the opposite. It shows acceptance of imperfections, both his own and hers. A man who is peaceful does not overreact to flaws or challenges. He understands that human connection is messy and evolving. This understanding creates emotional safety. A woman feels free to be herself without fear of judgment, correction, or disappointment. Peace is felt in how conflicts are handled. A peaceful man does not escalate disagreements or turn them into power struggles. He listens more than he defends. He seeks understanding rather than victory. This approach softens emotional tension and prevents resentment from building. A woman may not remember every conversation, but she will remember how safe she felt expressing herself. That sense of safety builds emotional attachment more reliably than any flawless behavior ever could. Perfection focuses on outcomes, while peace focuses on experience. A man who prioritizes peace is present in the moment. He is not constantly strategizing how to appear better, smarter, or more desirable. His attention is grounded. This presence makes interactions feel meaningful. A woman feels seen and valued, not because he says all the right things, but because he is genuinely there. Over time, this presence becomes comforting and addictive. It transforms attraction into emotional connection. Peace also reduces emotional exhaustion. Relationships often fail not because of lack of love, but because of constant emotional effort. When interactions feel heavy, draining, or stressful, attraction fades. A peaceful man brings emotional lightness. His calm energy acts as an anchor during uncertainty. When life becomes overwhelming, his steadiness becomes a place of rest. This association between his presence and emotional relief strengthens attachment naturally. A man at peace does not fear silence or stillness. He does not fill every gap with words or reassurance. This comfort with quiet reflects inner stability. A woman feels that she does not need to entertain, impress, or manage the connection. She can simply exist. This simplicity deepens intimacy. When connection feels simple, it feels sustainable. Peace also allows authenticity to flourish. When perfection is no longer the goal, honesty becomes easier. A man can admit uncertainty, express emotions calmly, and acknowledge limits without shame. This authenticity invites mutual openness. Emotional attachment grows strongest where honesty is met with acceptance. Over time, a woman begins to associate him with emotional balance rather than emotional strain, with calm rather than chaos, with safety rather than performance.